Hey everybody, it's me, Margaret. I have started and stopped this video so many times that I don't know where I left off. So I'm going to just have to start it all over again. We're going to talk about a lot of things today, including my finished cardigan, which I did complete. Yay! Spoiler alert, 2 thumbs up, but there are some things I want to talk about. Now, first of all, big news, I guess it would be big news was to us, was the fact that we had the snow, and I had plenty of people who were saying, oh, just checking on you, wanted to make sure you're okay. We did not have the really devastating things happen that you're seeing on the news. We did lose power. We actually, Texas did this rotating power thing. So one day we lost power every 30 minutes, which was great because you could plug your phone in. The day before that, before it got really bad, it was rotating every other hour. And it was fine. And then we lost gas, so that meant we lost heat. And hot water. A little uncomfortable, but for the most part we were fine. Well, let me show you a few pictures. So first we got this light dusting, and we were totally prepared at this point because once we get that weather warning, we all rush to the grocery store, we stock up on the staples. The power company had asked us not to use any more power than absolutely necessary, and even encouraged us to go around and unplug things like lamps or the coffee pot, for example. Unplug those things because even if you turn them off, they still draw power. So we did that. They asked us not to cook because we have a gas stove. Of course, we were reserving gas, and ovens take a lot of power, so not to do any of that. So luckily we had the big green egg. That is Tucker's favorite grill. Look at the snow on your face. It's so cute. Then we got ready for the first big wave, and note these temperatures. And here's where we're getting to the problem. Our freezes don't normally last long, maybe a day or two, but in this case we had prolonged freezing temps and wind chills that were more like Minnesota than Texas. Now, Bentley loved it so much, never missed an opportunity to play in it. Here you can see how it's just blowing so powdery like that. And we got a second wave the next morning. We woke up to some beautiful snow. But poor little Bentley seemed to have trouble with one of his hands, and we still don't know what happened, one of his front paws. So he's hurt again. Come here, let Mama see. In the meantime, we have very bored critters at our house. And it's hard to stay warm because we turned our power down. Look at her. So we had the neighbors over one night, and we even baked potatoes on the grill, which worked beautifully. And when we had our good friends Neff and Kathy over, and Kathy's mom, she's here too, it's kind of like, what do you have at your house? And they said, well, we've got some frozen French fries and a can of beans. I said, perfect, because we have hamburgers. So we kind of all pooled our resources. And in case you're wondering, French fries can be cooked on the big green egg. It does lend sort of an interesting flavor, kind of a smoked French fry, but it was fun. And then we all got together and played some games and just bided our time. How do I explain this? I mean, I've lived on this latitude my entire life, for the most part, with the exception of Georgia and New Orleans. We tend to have weather that's like really cold, where we'll have snow, you know, maybe once, but it doesn't last that long, maybe a couple of days. What was so unusual about this is that we had below freezing temperatures sustained over a period of, I think it might have been 5 days. And that's what caused all the problem. When that happens, of course, we don't have the salt trucks, we don't have snow plows, we don't have all those things that you guys up north are equipped with. So it kind of shuts our city down. And furthermore, we don't build our houses to handle that because this is such a rare occurrence. I think they said 1989 was the last time that something similar to this happened. And that since it's such a rare occurrence, our houses are not really built to withstand those types of temperatures, and that's why you were seeing people with burst pipes and the water coming down and ruining their homes and things like that. Now, fortunately, the newer construction you have, like our house is pretty much brand new, the better it is, because now we have all these laws that regulate energy usage. So you have a lot more high quality insulation in your home, so you're going to have less problem, even though our pipes are still not up to the Northeast standard, the way that they do that. So that's one reason why we did not have major problems. I think my neighbor on this side had some issues with his sprinkler system freezing on the outside of the house, and that broke a pipe or something like that, but it wasn't that big of a deal. So anyway, that's just the way it is when you live in the South. These are quite abnormal occurrences.
Hey, it's me, Tucker. Just a quick update on Sister Margaret Mary. She recently had a CAT scan, and the results were not what we were hoping for. She's been diagnosed with a stomach cancer called carcinoma. Hopefully I'm saying that right. But the good news is there's a possibility that she might be eligible to participate in a clinical trial. Margaret's going to put her address in the description box below. If you're so inclined, please drop her a note and let her know that she is in your thoughts and prayers. Thanks so much.
And then I've just had other interruptions because we've had a lot going on. For example, I was wearing my sweater and all ready to talk about it one day, and we got sidetracked by this. So I'm supposed to be telling you all about my wonderful sweater that I've made, but unfortunately we've spent the day filling out the application for what, Thomas?
Air Force.
The United States Air Force, because...
No, I thought it was going to be the Russian Air Force.
Oh hush, because Thomas is enrolling. However, it takes 3 of us to fill this application out. Thomas and I have been at it for hours. They want to know everything, including like your underwear label. And now Dad is taking No, I was joking. They don't really want to know that. But now Dad is taking a turn because we can't remember all the times we have been out of the country in the last 7 years, which means we are spoiled, rotten brats, because we have gotten the opportunity to do those things. And Thomas has been out more than we have because he took a trip with the school. Well, in the past 7 years, I mean, you went on that European trip, and you have to enter everything individually. You have to say, I've been to England, I've been to France, I've been to Brussels, and it all has to be entered individually. It's a long, drawn-out process. But anyhow, I don't know if I'm going to be able to shoot that today, but we'll see.
Is that going in your new video?
Yeah, and that hair is not long for this world.
All right, Belgium was the 20, you went there.
So we're really proud that Thomas has made the decision to join the Air Force, and we'll keep you posted on that. He's excited about it. You can't really tell. He doesn't show a whole heck of a lot of emotion, does he? But it is a decision that he feels really good about. If you don't know, if you're new to my channel, he attended Riverside Military Academy for 4 years of high school. He excelled, he loved it. I don't know, it just seemed like a really good fit. And he tried the college route, and it's just not what he needs to be doing right now during the pandemic. That he had one in-person class. It was just not conducive to his learning style. It was very frustrating. And in the Air Force, you end up with 2 years of college with on-the-job training as well. So he is going to college while he's in the Air Force. That's just how it works. So we're really excited about his decision. We'll have more on that later. So I was working on this free pattern, boho baby granny square blanket, and I ran into a problem with my color choices that I wanted for the trim. Well, I don't like this trim, so I think I'm going to have to tear it out. It didn't come out the way I thought it would look. It is gradient, which is good because I was looking for a gradient. But I just don't like it. I don't know. I'll rip it out. So I did, as you see, finish this blanket. So now I have a big gray blanket. That's all it is. One big giant granny square with no other colors on it, because this yarn, as you saw, it just didn't float my boat to be used in that purpose. I was curious though to see what it would look like if it was knitted up. So I did start a hat, and I do think it's really pretty yarn. However, as I look at it, to me it looks like you're holding 2 strands of maybe sock yarn or sport or DK or something together. I have actually created the look of this yarn in another video. I will link that below where you can see where I was playing with ways to make gradient effects. That's exactly what this reminds me of, but I do like it, so this is pretty. So that leads me back to this, thinking about colors. Now every few years I bring this topic up. I have some sites that I like to go to for color inspiration to help me find colors that complement one another. This is one of my all-time favorite sites. It's called Design Seeds for all who love color. And you can see what's going on here. They take a photograph and then they pull out color samples from the photograph. So I really like the way you can see the combination of colors. And it really helps you to look at a photograph in different ways. Look over here at this cacti. You know, you may not have noticed all those different shades unless you see someone pull them out. So that's a great way to feel color, to see it working together in a natural environment in that picture. Another site that I really like is this one. It's called Pippin Poppycock. And they do the same thing. Whoever this person is does the same thing, but they use yarn shades. They pull from the picture yarn shades. And the brand that they use is Stylecraft Special DK. Right here, which, if you know, it happens to have tons of colors, every color of the rainbow. This is wonderful if you're planning a certain project and, you know, you've got one brand to pull from. I think that's awesome. And the pictures are really pretty too. But there is one thing that I'm not, I don't think I'd caution you against it. I just want to bring this to your attention. It's a site called Alyssa Loves, and she does a very similar situation, but instead of using one brand, she mixes brands. And to the best of my knowledge, she's using the same weight. Let's see. She's using all lightweight and baby yarn. This is an acrylic and a light 3. So you'll see, though, that she's mixing Hobby Lobby Baby B and Lion Brand Baby Soft. This may or may not bother you. As a rule, I have only certain yarns that I will use interchangeably with one another, certain brands, that is. I usually like to use the same brand, but just be aware, she does the same thing, gives you the name or whatever, which is pretty handy, but if you don't like to mix brands in a project, then this may not be as helpful to you. And then, still talking about color, if you noticed last video, I had myself talking, and then I would interrupt myself with my editing self. And I had 2 different sets of clothes on. It was 2 different days. When I popped onto the editing me, I looked at that and I thought, gosh, I don't look like I feel well in this video. And I realized that it was just the colors I had on, the colors around me. It was really strange how it affected my skin. So analyze this with me. We'll use me as a guinea pig. All right, so pretty much on each day I had makeup on. It's just that on the pink outfit I did have on a brighter lipstick and some mascara, but everything else was the same. Even the light that I used was in the same place, although I was sitting at a different angle, so that could affect something. But when you compare them side by side, you can really see how color affects it. So what I'm seeing is that there are 3 color issues here: the color of my clothes, the lip color, and the hair color. In the black picture, I really don't have any hair showing, and that made a difference. Now, I'm a prime example of someone who just wears what she wants, and that's that, but there is something to be said for how the eye perceives color. Now, color in the crafting industry is huge, and as a matter of fact, some people have made a career out of it, like Joy McDonald. She has a pretty extensive crafting bio, but note the big names she's worked with, like Martha Stewart Crafts, American Girl, Disney, Sesame Street, and since Skillshare is sponsoring this video, let's point out this class that she teaches on this online learning platform. It's called The Essential Guide to a Perfect Wardrobe, Picking Your Colors. Listen to the very first words of this class.
We've all been in the store and fallen in love with the color of a fabric or a skein of yarn.
Yarn color, you heard it?
We've all come home and realized that the new purse or skirt doesn't go with anything we own.
I think it's funny that we don't seem to have problems picking out yarn colors for our home. For some reason, we can match those pretty well, but when it comes to ourselves, that gets kind of tricky. For instance, I'm not even sure how I feel about this maroon color against my face, but you know what? I love the color, so I'm happy to wear this color. Does that make sense? I try to be more aware of what colors I'm going to wear when I have to have a picture made, for example. And not my YouTube videos, I don't care, because what you're seeing is the real me, and the real me wears whatever color she wants. But I do think it's really, really interesting. But back to this Skillshare, I think it's important if you sell your work that you really do some work with color theory. You have to understand how people relate to colors in order to set up your website, your craft booth, if that's the case, or your Etsy store. All of these things affect how people purchase. I mean, that's why people get marketing degrees. But you can learn a lot about this and how color affects it from Skillshare. I mean, just the color theory classes alone are immense. And don't forget that when they sponsor a video like this, they do offer the first 1,000 people to sign up with my link a free premium subscription to try it out. So, like I say, it's worth it. It's free. Try it. So anyhow, all this to say, I need 3 colors to put on my gray blanket, and I went on a hunt and fell down the rabbit hole learning about colors. So I don't know. I thought I was going to use this downstairs in my living room, and I'm not. My aunt makes all these quilts. Oh, speaking of that, she made me another quilt. Hang on. Dun da da! She made this to go downstairs. I thought this was so fun. Of course, it has dog hair on it because Bentley has been lying on it. But we're really happy because Bentley can jump up on the couch these days. He was not able to do that for a while. He's 16, but he went to the vet and he got his medicine tweaked just a little bit, or rather his supplements. He doesn't really take medicine, and he's doing really, really well. So anyway, back to what I'm saying is that I'm not going to use this in my house because I really prefer quilts. I like the way they feel. And viewer in Morrow pointed out to me that Warm Up America, yes, Warm Up America is the charity that has been around for quite some time, that accepts knitted and crocheted items, and then they help divvy them out. You send your stuff to Warm Up America and they send it out where it needs to be given, who can use it based upon, you know, whatever the requirements are. And it happens to be located right here in Carrollton, Texas. Which, not right here, but Carrollton, Texas is very close. I don't know what his or her first name is. In Morrow was the username. And I was like, what? Because I've always known about Warm Up America. I just didn't realize that it was right here. Well, it just so happens that black blankets is one of the things that they need for certain areas. You'll have to look. I'll put a link in the description box for Warm Up America. This would be absolutely perfect for that. So being gray, I think it might be good if I could use for traditionally male colors. I think maybe a veteran's home or something like that might be able to use something like this. There's tons of charities that they service. So I think I will pick more traditionally masculine colors. I'm not sure, but it led me on an interesting color journey. So now let's talk about my sweater, my clumpy, cozy, squishy cardigan. Okay, here is my finished sweater. I think it turned out great. I'm very pleased with it, but I do have a few things that I would have done differently or would do differently if I were to make this again. So I'm going to point out these things in case you want to make this, some things you need to be aware of. And first of all, one of the things that I really like the most is this, what she calls a tush extension to cover our bottoms down here. What you do is you make this rectangle first and you fold the ends in to make the sleeves. Okay, it ends up being about right here, and then you go back and you add this little square down here, and that is awesome because you can regulate how long or short you want it. For instance, I am 5'2", and so whenever I buy my clothes, I end up having to buy petites, or I look like I'm wearing my big sister's clothes, and I don't like that look at all. Everything always hangs way too low for me. So I wanted this to be, you know, well, right where it is, basically, and I'm very pleased with it. But do notice the one thing here on the side. The tush extension ended right here. You see that? And I would have liked it to have come around to my sides, but it's a little far back. And I noticed in the Ravelry notes that people were saying that. So I think Jess Cöppom is the designer of this, making Dū She is awesome. I would love it if Jess would include a measurement for just that tush extension portion. Basically because the only measurements she really gives us are for the bust when you're trying to size yourself, and then the finished rectangle, which is really handy, except for the fact that once you fold those sleeves in, then that cuts out part of your sweater. How do I explain that? I'm not sure I'm explaining that properly at all. So, for instance, when I laid my rectangle out, it was great. The measurements were excellent for the size that I wanted, which was a small. But I had to kind of stretch it out a little bit to make sure that it was that size. So maybe if I could have just plopped it down and not stretched it in any way, you know, just kind of straightened it out, maybe that would have been more sized properly for me. I don't know. But the problem with that is that you do this rectangle long ways like this. So that means you have to cast on the right number to begin with. And so it's kind of tricky to figure that out. Another thing that was a little tricky about this was that Jess has a very loose gauge. I think I have a pretty average gauge. I was talking recently about Snappy Tots, one of my favorite designers, and she has a very tight gauge. So oftentimes I need to change hook sizes by 2 sizes in order to make mine match. I have to go down 2 sizes. But with Jess, she has an extremely loose gauge, and I could tell that when I was watching her video tutorial. So I automatically went up with my hook sizes because I knew her gauge was bigger than mine. And I'm glad I did, because I think that made a difference. However, I think I could have gone up even more if she was measuring that without the you know, kind of pulling and stretching to make it right. And she may have made a note on that. It was very extensive information in the pattern. I can't recall right now if she said to do that or not, but I'm telling you. But I do need to rave about the pattern. She was excellent. Her instructions were very clear. The written pattern instructions were very clear. And then she provided a video for that as well. So the pattern is free. You can get a paid version, which is in a PDF format, which might be a little bit more concise, but I don't have any problem copy and pasting what I want and then printing that. But, you know, that's up to you. I loved her video tutorial. She was very well spoken. You could easily see what she was doing, and that was helpful when it came time to do the seaming of different things. Now there were a few tweaks that I made, and I'll insert these, I'm sure, as I'm talking, like sewing on these sleeves, for example. I'm about to sew the second sleeve on, so I've got everything turned inside out. One thing I did not follow the directions on, and I didn't mean to, is I forgot to leave a long tail so that I could sew the sleeve on, which is a very good idea. So I'm going to have to cut this and then add it on, of course. However, there's something that I learned from the last sleeve, and that is to cut twice as much so you can go around 2 times. And I'll show you why in just a minute. So here's how I figure out how much I need. I could go all the way around, or I could say, all right, I need about this much to sew half a sleeve on, and then I need this much to sew the whole sleeve on. So I want to do that twice, and then I always take extra. Better safe than sorry, right? Whenever I have to join because I forgot and cut it off, what I'll do is start about right here, and I'll weave in. I act like I'm weaving in the ends, but actually this is the starting point. And I pull this all the way about right there. So now I'm going to loop it. You see it's coming out right here, so I'll go back a little ways and then begin again. And what that'll do is kind of put some brakes on it, so there's no way that it could come unraveled and come on out the end. Alright, so let me sew my first round, so to speak, on, and I'll tell you why I'm doing it twice. Okay, so here I am, finished with my first round, and I thought I did great. I followed instructions and I took multiple strands from each side just as Jess told me to, but watch what happens when I pull it out. Can you see I find holes that I didn't exactly, well, I missed that, I guess. No, I didn't exactly miss that. It's just the way it worked that I missed. So regardless, it's okay, because now I have enough yarn attached that I'm going to go ahead and fix all this. And by the time I finish my second round, everything will be more secured and all the little holes will be fixed up. So if you're not a good hand sewer, like I am, a poor hand sewer, then you might want to try this method so that you can go back a second time and catch mistakes, or, you know, just add a second level of reinforcement. So now when I pull it, you can't see any more openings with that second round. So I think I did great. Let me turn it right side out, and let's see how it looks. And another thing I did was, because this didn't extend over here, you know, directly on my sides, I needed to add on a few rows of this ribbing. So I think she said, I don't remember what she said, but I think I added 2 more rows, possibly 4 more rows, to get it to fold over and be a good wrap around is what I wanted. Because before I could easily make it meet about right here, but this was way far out, and I don't know. So I just added a few more rows to make it that comfy cozy. And I do love it. I do think it's an awesome sweater, cardigan. Wonderful for lounging around too. That's a great thing as well. But I would wear this out. I mean, I'm really proud of this. So all in all, 2 thumbs up. Make and Do Crew, Jess Copham. This is called the Habitat Cardigan. So that's all I've got to talk about in this episode. Join me next time. Talk to you soon. Thanks for hanging out with me. Bye.